Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about some of the words and acronyms that I wish I had known when I was starting out on my instructional design job search and journey. Some of these words I came across, in job descriptions or even in conversations with recruiters or during interviews. People would be throwing around these acronyms as if I knew what they were, and I really didn't, and so sometimes it would throw me off. But the funny thing is, a lot of these acronyms and concepts are things that you're probably very familiar with, especially if you're coming from an education background, but it's the acronym part that threw me off. So in this video, we are going to cover some of the words and acronyms I think will be useful to know on your instructional design job search journey. If that sounds good to you, keep watching. So we're going to kind of talk about these in order of the course development process. So at the beginning of your course development process, you're going to conduct something called a needs analysis. A needs analysis is where you're going to spend time conducting interviews with different people about what training needs to be built, why it needs to be built, what sort of behaviors or gaps it needs to address, and really the overall goal and results of the training. This is usually conducted at the very start of a course or, some sort of training project. And like I said, it will involve various people, which leads me into my second words that you should be familiar with. A stakeholder is the person that has asked you or your team to build the training or the course. They have a stake in the outcome of the course. They have a behavior that they've observed, whether it's on their team or maybe that customers have been displaying, and they're reaching out because they want you to build a training or a course that helps to kind of modify that behavior. Stakeholders can come from any team within your company. Maybe it's marketing, engineering, legal, HR, and these will be the people that you'll kind of update with the progress that you're making along the way. Like I mentioned before, stakeholders will be part of the needs analysis conversation because you're going to want to ask them what are the gaps that we're trying to address, as well as what are the goals for the training. Also in these needs analysis meetings are subject matter experts, otherwise known as SMEs. SMEs are usually invited to the needs analysis stage because they're experts in whatever topic that you're trying to create a training or a course about. So for example, if you're building a training for the marketing department, the subject matter expert, or the SME, is going to be someone who is an expert in the marketing department that you can go to learn as much as you can from about the course content. So during the needs analysis, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting the SME on board with the course that you're going to be building so that they have buy-in when, you're kind of getting all these meetings on their calendars to kind of pick their brain and learn about the course content. So the next three words are kind of types of trainings that you can create that I wasn't super familiar with. I was familiar with them by different names, but this is the more technical terms that we use now in instructional design roles. When you're building a training, you can create something that is called an instructor-led training or an ILT. And ILT is what people would just say in the conversations I was having when I was first transitioning to instructional design. So I didn't know that ILT stood for instructor-led training. But really what it is just, a live training that someone is doing either for internal folks at their company or teaching to customers or hosting seminars. So it's really just instructor-led training. Similarly is something called a VILT, which stands for virtual instructor-led training. So this is your online seminars, it's your virtual Zoom sessions where you're doing a training or where someone is leading a training. As a teacher, I obviously knew the concept of a VILT, but I didn't know that it was actually called a VILT. And lastly, another type of training that you could create is something called a train the trainer, or otherwise known as a TTT. And a train the trainer is where you, as the instructional designer, are building out a deck and content for a trainer to then take and host a training for people within a department. So if your company has a bigger team for the training department, there's usually instructional designers and trainers. So the instructional designers will build out those decks, all that content, and then train the trainer on how to, present the topic, teach them the new concepts so that the trainers can then deliver the training, either virtually or in person. Lastly, another word that I knew the concept of, but I didn't know the formal official instructional design term for it, was learning management system, otherwise known as an LMS. An LMS is where your company is just going to host all of its training content. It's where people in your company or customers can log into and take all of your e-learning content or watch your videos. Usually it has some sort of like tracking that you can look on internally to see like who's taken your courses, what types of scores they're getting. You can, usually generate data that can help inform instructional design decisions down the road. And depending on your role, you might spend more time working in your LMS or less time, depending on, if there is an LMS administrator who kind of owns the whole LMS. But sometimes, if you have a smaller instructional design team, you'll be right in there in the LMS uploading your courses and managing like learner data. So those are some of the words and acronyms I wish I had known when I started out on my instructional design journey. If you learned a new word or two, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.